the digital space. Now with this environment and social distancing that we're in. Welcome to Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thank you, Brandon Jay McLaren, for coming on. I really do appreciate it. So can you tell me, first, how things been, man? Like as I said, it's an interesting time we find ourselves in.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and initially, I was like, okay, we can ride this out. But the last week, I don't know, it's been kind of extra hard.
Yeah.
I feel there's no, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It seems like, and so, just thinking about another month of this, it's daunting. But time goes by, and you've got to, try to do as many Zoom meetings and try to reach out and not isolate, emotionally, I guess, try to stay sane. So, just trying out here doing our best, man.
I feel you. Moving on, the purpose of the interview was to, touch base with you regarding cons. So I'm sure with all the cons that you have an opportunity to attend, not just here in the U.S. obviously, but I'm sure across the world. Why this con?
Well, my agent, she organized it for me. I haven't been to Philadelphia since I played Drexel, in 01 maybe. So the chance to go back to Philadelphia, and I remember I had a good time there last time I was there. And also, it's always about availability and how it can work with my schedule. And I knew I had a bit of a window where I could travel and did not interfere with anything else I'm working on. So it all kind of lined up for me for the Philadelphia con.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm sure. Well, obviously, it may not be the case now, but I'm hoping that you were planning on getting some authentic Philly cheesesteaks.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, trust me. And this is why I love doing cons, because you get to go and see a city that you wouldn't normally go to. And so, hey, every city I go to, man, I got a list of places I'm gonna see, places I'm gonna eat. I do my research. I'm organized. So, hopefully, when all this stuff gets lifted, I'll be able to go to make a trip out to Philadelphia for the con.
All right, cool. Now, just to rewind the clock back, obviously, you're a part of the legacy of Power Rangers, and when it first came out, it was such a pulp culture phenomenon.
Yeah.
For you, join that legacy, so to speak. Would you say that you were a fan of it, or were you just familiar with what it was?
Definitely was not a fan, but I was definitely familiar. And I remember when because I had initially auditioned for the season before me, which was Dino Thunder.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
And that's kind of right when I kind of just first started acting. You know what I mean? That was in the infancy of maybe the first 2 years of trying to do it as a profession. So I remember the initial, the year prior, the Dino Thunder audition came up, and I didn't know Power Rangers was still a thing. And at the time, I had a friend at the time who was a big fan. And so he kind of put me on, and he kind of helped me, let me watch some of the more recent seasons so I could get a feel for what it was. Obviously, I didn't end up getting Dino Thunder. And then the following cycle, SPD came through.
Okay. All right. Cool. So with that in mind, as you said, the Power Rangers was, as you described it, in the infancy of your career. And when it comes to acting, I'm sure, as you well know, things continue to evolve and you continue to progress, as an artist year after year. Would you say that there are things in your toolbox as an actor that you still had in that infancy that you still carry with you now, or perhaps a lot of those things you probably have, tweaked or evolved?
Definitely.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do recall, And I'm not gonna like, and I, I don't feel no shame. Like I took Power Rangers as seriously as I take any other role. You know what I mean? And I know it was a kid's show, but at
Yeah,
that time it was
absolutely.
a real big deal for me. You know what I mean? Like that was a job that allowed me to kind of quit my serving job on the side and allowed me to just be an actor full time. And there's a lot of value in that.
Absolutely.
So we took, I mean, and not just me, my entire cast, we took that job as seriously as any other job. And in fact, we also did a play in New Zealand while we were shooting the Power Rangers. So Matt directed it, me and Monica acted in it, and everybody else helped. Chris and Alicia helped, and we put on a play in my apartment, and we ran it for a week while we were in New Zealand. So we were all like locked in, trying to do the best job we could with the material that we had.
Cool.
Yeah.
And to add to that idea of legacy again, what does that look like? I mean, obviously I know that there are cons out there that are specifically catered to the fandom of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but
Great. Yeah.
it's wild. What does that look like in terms of being able to interact with prior generations of Rangers and kind of sharing notes on maybe experience working on the show that was relative or experience with fans that are relative, things like that.
Well, I know for us, like all the seasons that have shot in New Zealand, you automatically have a connection there. Because a lot of us were coming from the US or Canada. We get dropped off in New Zealand, which is 1,000,000 miles away. And you really only have one another to rely on for like 6 to 7 months. You know what I mean? Also, like they use a lot of the locations over and over again. So there's like that common thread there that we can like talk about, oh, did you hate that location? Did y'all shoot there? And we have that kind of commonality between the different seasons. So there's sort of like a natural bond that's formed there with some of the other Rangers.
Sweet. So, switching gears a bit, as we were talking about at the top of the interview, the landscape that we're in and how it's kind of affected, things that we very much take for granted that we picture that we do day in and day out. And one thing that comes to mind, a lot of the leisure things, whether it's sports and things of that nature. I know you're an athlete. I understand that you're a footballer.
Yep.
So, how has that been? Because I know it's been hard for me. Like I'm an American footballer, right?
Yeah.
And a basketball guy, but
Okay.
yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously all the gyms are closed.
Yeah.
I run a lot anyway, so I'm
Okay.
kind of lucky. So this doesn't really like interrupt my running schedule. I can still go out in LA and run as much as I want. I've actually resorted now to doing 2 runs a day just to kind of break up the day a little bit. You know what I mean? So like I'll do a run in the morning and then come back home, do some stuff around the house, go out for another run in the evening. And like, these little mental things just to like, so the day doesn't seem as long, So that's kind of how I've been coping with that.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And then also, in speaking of like routines, what does that look like now in terms of your day in and day out, routine as an actor? Because in scheduling meetings with different producers or show creators or doing readings with cast with potential cast that you already are part of a project. How is that started to look? I'm assuming it's kind of like this, or perhaps
everybody's just trying to adapt, right? In fact, at 6:00 tonight, I have we have like a group Zoom chat with the cast of Firefly Lane, which is the last Netflix show that I did. Hopefully that'll come in a couple months. So I think everybody's just trying to do the best with the crumbs that they have. Which means, reaching out, doing like little Zoom happy hours with friends, catching up, just checking in on one another. Don't assume that everybody's doing okay. And in terms of like work things, everything is essentially shut down for the foreseeable future. And, now is the time, I guess, if whatever ideas that you may have had in the back of your mind that you were always like, I should put that down on paper. I should develop that a little more. This is the time to do it, Now there's no excuses. This is the time to do it. So, a little bright side kind of things like that I'm, trying to hold on to.
Cool. And would I'm assuming that kind of also affects what perhaps you already had in your itinerary, with a lot of these things, now being shifted around and readjusted or rescheduled.
Yeah, like the hardest thing I think is like just nobody knows, nobody has any idea how long this could last. Things could be up and running again June 1st. It could be September. Like we really don't know. I think that's the kind of the hardest thing to wrap your head around, like of the complete unknown, and even the experts don't know. Like there's nobody we can turn to for any sort of like real solid guidance. So it's very much like a wait and see kind of deal.
Gotcha. And lastly, before I have you go, with everything that has been going, what are there any projects? As you said, a lot of things have been placed on hold, but have there been any that are still ongoing now, under the assumption that when it was scheduled to actually rev into gear, it would have not have been affected by what we're going through now?
Well, right when everything got shut down, I started to do a new show called All Rise on CBS, and I was going to do the last two episodes of the season. And I think on my second day of shooting, everything got shut down. So hopefully that'll pick up right again whenever the studios open up again. But like I said, man, there's ain't no telling. So
gotcha.
Knows, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thank you so much. I really do appreciate having you on and the time that we were able to squeeze out here, talk about cons and the interesting world that we live in currently. But be that as it may, can you tell folks that would be listening here where they can find you?
Hey guys, you can find me on Instagram at Brandon Jay McLaren. And that's usually where I'm at. So,
all right, awesome. There you guys.
Okay, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and stay strong, stay healthy.
Absolutely, you too, man. Thanks a lot. Bro. Bye.